I'd like to call to order the Milan Area Schools Board of Education regular meeting for Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. All board members are present except for Ms. Rosen Leacher. She is excused. And then also our two student board representatives are excused as well. We will start with an oath of office for Cassie Pryor, our newest board member. She already has taken the official oath as prescribed by law, but we will have a ceremonial oath of office. So if you want to meet me out front here, Cassie, we'll do a ceremonial oath. Raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties
and I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the Office of Board of Education
of the Office of Board of Education
of Milan Area Schools,
of Milan Area Schools,
Washtenaw and Monroe Counties of Michigan,
Washtenaw and Monroe Counties of Michigan,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. All right, so like I said, Ms. Pryor has had an official oath of office. She's also gone through an orientation with Mr. Gearbaugh and myself in regards to just board meetings and board roles and things such as that. And she's jumped right in, and we look forward to her contributions to the board. With that, we will move on to communications and community engagement. And a reminder, this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public meeting. There are 2 times for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. When addressing the board, you will be asked to state your name. The board determines the amount of time granted to individuals or groups to speak. Each person shall be allowed to speak for up to 3 minutes. Board members may question speakers but are not obligated to answer questions or make statements or commitments in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such items will be referred to the superintendent for advisement, investigation, study, and/or recommendation, or designated as future agenda items for board consideration. Are there any students who'd like to address the board? Are there any public members who'd like to address the board? All right, hearing none, we will move on to routine matters for approval. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting of November 15th, 2023.
Moved by Farrow.
Support by Murray.
It's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the special meeting of November 15th, 2023. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, it's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the special meeting of November 15th, 2023. Ms. Heike.
Murray. Yes. Pryor.
Yes.
Sislo.
Yes.
Farrow.
Yes.
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Heike, yes. Motion carries 6-0.
Next up, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the special meeting closed session of November 15th, 2023.
Moved by Gutierrez.
Support by Murray.
It's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the special meeting closed session of November 15th, 2023. Any discussion regarding those? Hearing none, it's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the special meeting closed session of November 15th, 2023. Ms. Heike.
Pryor.
Yes.
Sislo.
Yes.
Farrow.
Yes.
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Heike, yes. Murray. Yes. Motion carries 6-0.
You pass your envelopes to the center, please. Thank you. Next up, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of November 15th, 2023.
Moved by Farrow.
Support by Murray.
So moved and supported to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of November 15th, 2023. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Sislo?
Yes, Mr. Farrell.
Under board member comments, there's just a small typo under my remarks. It should say WISD rather than WIDS.
We will make that change, so we will consider that a correction. Are there any other corrections? It's been moved and supported to approve the minutes with the correction to WISD for the regular meeting of November 15th, 2023. Ms. Heika?
Sislo,
Yes.
Pharaoh,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Heika, yes. Murray? Yes. Pryor?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right. Next up on the agenda is bills and reimbursement of expenses. I need a motion to approve the bills and reimbursement of expenses.
Moved by Pharaoh.
Support by Heika.
It's been moved and supported to approve the bills and reimbursement of expenses. Is there discussion?
Mr. Sislo?
Yes, Mr. Farrell.
I just want to comment to the board that there were some expenditures associated with roof repairs that were part of our 5-year maintenance plan. And then there was some repair work that was done at the high school. I inquired of Mr. Gearbaugh of the expenses, and they were budgeted for or paid for by an insurance carrier. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Any other questions or concerns? It's been moved and supported to approve the bills and reimbursement of expenses. Ms. Heika?
Sislo,
Yes.
Pharaoh,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Heika, yes. Murray? Yes. Pryor?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right. Next on to strategic plan business. In the area of learning environment of culture, we do have our WISD Parent Action Committee update from Andrea Bennick. Yep.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to provide the board and the community with an update from the WISD PAC. I've had several informational and productive meetings these past couple of months. In October, PAC had a presentation from Beth Kohler from Special Education Mediation Services, also known as SEMS, another special ed acronym. SEMS is a grant-funded free mediation and facilitation service that focuses on collaborative communication in the IEP process. SEMS can be a helpful, neutral third party to create dialogue between schools and families when there's a breakdown in the IEP process. We also heard from Ashley Robinson, an AAC augmentative and alternative communication consultant with the WISD. She and her colleagues are in the process of creating a website to allow an easy request for support and consultation for local districts. The AAC consultants hope to provide support in assessment, professional development, implementing AAC in the school day, to help students and districts find funding for AAC devices, and assistance as students age out of the public education systems. At the beginning of October and the beginning of November, I attended the transitions team meeting that the WISD holds monthly. The purpose of these meetings is to highlight different resources within the community to help teacher consultants better assist families and students as they prepare to transition out of the school system. October shared information from Intentional Communities of Washtenaw, which is a nonprofit program that focuses on reducing isolation for adults over 26. We also heard from Community Mental Health. CMH is for those who are Medicaid eligible, students aging out of school services, and have SSI. CMH cases are initiated by families or caregivers, not teachers or districts. Joy Taylor, the WISD Transitions Coordinator, also gave an update, noting that they have a link available on the WISD website that has many resources for staff, including a calendar of events that are highlighting trainings, support groups, and meetings that may be of benefit to students and their families. Some helpful information shared from staff at the meeting included the benefit of having a student's CMH caseworker present at IEP transition meetings. They can help provide continuity to the families and the supports that the student needs once they age out of school. It was also noted that families would be wise to begin the CMH process when the students turn 18, not waiting until they're on the brink of aging out of the school system. It can take a couple of years to get paperwork, file, documents, all of those things in order as you're applying for CMH. It's an arduous process. November's transitions team meeting hosted a representative from Concordia University who shared information on their Able Light program. It's a 2-year program for students who have developmental disabilities. It is not a degree program or a certificate program. It's an experience program is the best way I can think of to describe it. Students live on campus. They receive support for life skills, job training. They take classes, but it's not along the same lines as a college level. So it's definitely something worth exploring. However, it should be noted that it is a private pay experience only. Scholarships are not available. 529 savings don't apply for those things. So unfortunately, it's one of those things where it would be an out-of-pocket expense for families, which can be prohibitive for sure. We also heard from Kathy Homan from Washtenaw Association for Community Advocacy. It's colloquially known as WACA, because nobody says all of these words every time. WACA focuses on inclusion in community life. They also provide support for navigating complex systems such as SSI, MDHHS, help with employment, financial needs, special needs trusts, etc. They also provide advocacy support for families who might need help in the IEP process. The Washtenaw Office of Community and Economic Development also shared their resources, which may be helpful for many people, not just those with special needs. The OCED assists with housing assistance, utility assistance, community and housing improvements, financial counseling. They describe themselves as a social safety net, so that might be something that our school social workers can tuck away in their back pockets for families who may need help with any of those things. All of these are resources that are helpful for families who have many questions as they're trying to navigate the change of moving from a school setting into the young adult world. The transitions coordinators and a number of us in the special education community are working towards a resource folder that TCs and directors can share with their caseloads to help consolidate that information into an easily accessible format. And that was something that I brought up to Lon at our last meeting as well, saying that that would be something that would just really be helpful. You get so much information in IEP meetings that having a folder of like, here's some great contacts in the community that can support you would probably be helpful. In November, the PAC hosted a roundtable discussion to build collaboration and information sharing with special education directors in the WISD and our local districts. It was an ambitious idea, and I was really pleased with the turnout. I wasn't sure how many directors would show up to a meeting where it's not necessarily clear what the discussion format will be or what types of things will be asked of them, but we had a number of directors show up. And it was also like the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So a lot of districts, were closed on Wednesday. And despite that, we had a Zoom option available, and a lot of our directors were able to attend via Zoom. So it was a really great meeting. The nature of our conversations was focused on creatively addressing staff and student needs while acknowledging concerns of shortages and difficulties in recruiting staff at all levels. The administrators present were very willing to share what they're doing in their districts, and that brought a collaborative energy to the meeting. In my meeting with Lon Smith this past week, I shared with him some of the ideas that I thought Milan could implement to strengthen our special education department and our district as a whole. Some of those ideas I shared with some of you at the Big Red Board chat last week, and I'll recap those here for the benefit of those who are not able to attend. Ypsilanti Community Schools puts together a back-to-school bash and a family and community empowerment event where community resources are made available to families. And I think that Milan could build on the community-sponsored Big Red Bundles to create something similar for a before-school event. Opportunities for local salons could offer haircuts. Aid and Milan could share their resources. Milan Public Library could share their monthly events. The school resource officer could participate in community outreach at something like that. I think that there's a possibility there. It's ambitious. I know that it would take a lot of coordinating and work and picking a date and securing people to show up, but I think that it's something that Milan could really strive towards, building off of that Big Red Bundle option. Lon and I also talked about bolstering paraprofessional input for professional development by using an exit ticket strategy at the mandatory professional developments that are at the beginning of the year, where paraprofessionals could, Lon could specify certain questions about what type of training would they find useful, what kind of feedback, is beneficial from the meetings or the professional development that they do have. And using that exit ticket strategy would be an easy way to gather input from our paras. And another idea that had merit was having building and special education annual updates to the board, giving a presentation on the statistics of the buildings, sharing what innovations are working well, acknowledging where more support or development is needed. It's fairly common in districts in the area. It's based on information that was shared at the roundtable discussion. Most of the district administrators that were there said that as special education directors, they give an annual update to their board. I also think it would be a benefit to Milan area school special ed students and families to have a survey, either annually or biannually, to give input on the education and support services that students receive. I know that Celine has done something like that in the past as well, and it was successful in helping kind of know where their strengths were and where they needed some more support. The WISD has an award-winning adaptive physical education teacher, and Lana and I talked about reaching out to the PE staff here in district to see if they needed support from the WISD consultants to support students with disabilities in their PE courses. So the meetings that I have with Lon continue to be collaborative. I appreciate his receptiveness to information that I share with him from our meetings, and he has shown an interest in incorporating new ideas and feedback. And likewise, his perspective and information about the district helps give me insight into special education here in Milan as well. Overall, the last couple of months have seen great strides in our collaborative efforts between representatives and administrators and between representatives and the communities. I appreciate the collaborative efforts with the board as well. A couple of upcoming dates to note for our community. January 16th from 6:30 to 8 is the next PAC meeting. Michigan Alliance for Families is giving a presentation on transitions. So parents or caregivers of high school and young adult students in the young adult programs are highly encouraged to attend this meeting to learn more about the transition process from high school to post-secondary programs or from the young adult program into the adult world after school. And January 23rd from 9 until 12, the WISD is holding a transitions seminar for parents and caregivers. And this meeting is more of a resource fair event where they have different agencies and they'll have a special needs trust lawyer present at that meeting as well. Both of those meetings are held at the TLC building on the Washtenaw Intermediate School District campus. That's on Wagner Road in Ann Arbor. Thank you again for the opportunity to update you all, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Do we have another Milan representative on the committee yet? No, I can tell.
So if you know of anybody who'd be interested, who has a student who has an IEP and would be interested, that would really be fantastic. It's one of those things where having another voice there would be beneficial, but also if ever I'm sick and can't give an update, having somebody else who I can just be like, here's the notes, just go up there and read them, please. That sort of a thing would be helpful, but it's just nice to have varying perspectives. I have one student with an IEP here in Milan, and my experience may not be the same as somebody else's experiences. And so having, a diverse population there, a diverse experience to draw from, that would really be beneficial. So anybody would be great. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. All right. Next up in the area of personnel and leadership, I need a motion to approve Cynthia Cialone as the Milan Area Schools Payroll Benefits Manager effective immediately.
Moved by Pharaoh.
Support by Murray.
It's been moved and supported to approve Cynthia Cialone as the Milan Area Schools Payroll Benefits Manager effective immediately. Mr. Gearbaugh?
Yes, just very excited to bring you a very qualified candidate for this position. Our candidate has actually been doing payroll in some form or another since 1999, and has been involved in schools for several years, following some work at a college level and a community level. So she's very experienced, did very well in her interview, had wonderful reference checks from her employers, and we are pleased to be able to get someone on board to take over the very important role of payroll and benefits manager.
Any questions or comments? All right, hearing none, it's been moved and supported to approve Cynthia Cialone as the Milan Area Schools Payroll Benefits Manager effective immediately. Ms. Heika?
Farrow,
Yes.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Heika, yes. Murray,
Yes.
Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, next up on our agenda, back to communications and community engagement. It's the second time for public comments. Are there any students who'd like to address the board? Are there any public members who'd like to address the board? All right. Next up, our student board representative comments. Ms. Powell has arrived, so,
So many, I didn't have time to finish it.
oh, well, that's,
Congratulations that are in order.
okay. Is your mic, can you turn your microphone on? Thank you.
This is why I need Maya to help me with this. I want to start off by saying congratulations to Mariah Steins on committing to Davenport University in order to just continue her softball career. She had her signing last week, I think. Congratulations to Coach Hoskins on being named the Regional Coach of the Year. Here's the big part, okay? So it's gonna take me a second. Congratulations to all of our fall sport honors, and this is all state, regional, and just honorable mention. Girls swimming, Krista Cook, Mary Kate Wayne, Kira Lurs. Apologies if I say any of these names wrong. I'm not trying to do it wrong. Annabelle Williams, Lila McKenna, Cameron Stripp, Sarah Mitchell, Megan McChesney, Hannah Brady, and Layla Nemeth. Good Lord. Okay. Football, Billy Gaskell, Brody Lopez, Elijah Cartwright, William Riddle, Cameron Ackley, Lucas Linzel, Chris Bergeron, Jackson Warman. For boys tennis, Gunnar Cruz, Matthew Fink, Grant Segrist, Luke Morris, Zach Farmer, Sawyer Johnson, Josh Denham, Clark Freeze, Elias Hobbs, Will Klibler. Sorry. Vincent yeah, that one. Tyler Marabino and Zach Weather. Boys soccer, Carter Higgins, Gavin Tomacek, Nolan Matley, Bo LeBlanc, good Lord, Caleb Klein, Adam Johnson, Parker Beard, Charlie Brown, Fred Brown, Noah Bustle, Caden Lambers, Xander Paris, and Wesley Murphy for girls volleyball, and huge congratulations for them on all of their accomplishments through the season. But congratulations to Malia Warman, Madison Slack, Courtney Nye, Lauren Paris, Mariah Steins, and Haley Knox. And then boys basketball is kind of where I was able to stop. The boys varsity team has a game versus Melvindale High School at Melvindale Strong Middle School tonight. That started at 7, so waiting to hear how that goes. Friday, December 8th, they have a game versus Tecumseh High School at 7 p.m. at Tecumseh, I believe. I don't know, it didn't have any information on it yet. Tuesday, December 12th versus Britton Deerfield High School at Britton Deerfield at 7 p.m. And I will get back to you on the rest of the sports.
Thank you so much, Ms. Thank you so much, Mrs. Powell. Assistant Superintendent comments, Mr. McMahon.
Thank you, Mr. Sislo. I have a couple grant updates for the board. That seems to be my main focus these days. The Section 99H grant, which is the first robotics grant, was submitted by the December 1st deadline. We're requesting just under $20,000 for our 9 teams, which happens to include 2 new teams this year. We have a new one at Simons and a new one at Paddock. So the request is under 20,000. I'm anticipating like end of the school year they'll add a little bit of money for those that didn't claim their share. So hopefully it'll be a little over 20,000 by the end, which is great. We submitted a 99U grant, which is new this year. It's actually program specific. Somehow, a company called Imagine Learning got their name written into legislation that if you apply for this grant, you get access to the program, which we're trying to use for our EL students to have some supplemental online support for writing and mathematics. I do believe we're going to get some access for our all of our students to use. We just don't know what level yet, but we're at least securing it for our EL students, or trying to. The 31AA grant is due December 10th, so in a few days, and we're requesting just a little over $200,000, and that's for student mental health and safety and security. They combined 2 different pots from the previous year into one. That's a big request. There's gonna be a lot of things in there. We'll update you on that probably as soon as next week. And good news from the grant world is we learned today that we now do not have to submit the comparability report, which, if you recall, our alternative ed triggered some Title I spending in their program, which then triggered a response report called the comparability report, which we've never had to do. And I went to a meeting today to figure out how to do it and to get some help in a workshop. And at the end of the workshop, they said, and you don't have to do one, because our attendance is so low, which is what I was arguing for in the first place, that we still have to spend the money and we're required to follow the grant, but we just don't have. Essentially, you can't compare a 17 student high school to a 600 student high school, so that makes sense. But that was good news. That was work off my desk. That was like the best conference I've been to from MDEs. They're like, see you later. Like, yes. That's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. McMahon. On to superintendent comments, Mr. Gearbaugh.
Yes, it's been a while since our last meeting, so several updates to provide. Some of these are going to seem really old, but believe it or not, they did happen since the last board meeting. First, I was able to attend the opening night of the MHS production Alice in Wonderland. Even the opening night performance was spectacular. I was thoroughly impressed with our students' ability to learn what I will call awkward lines. If you happen to see the production, how they memorized some of those lines when they made no sense, just incredibly impressive. The performer, stage crew, and everyone involved did a great job, and we are excited to learn that our same directors will be returning for our musical later this year. The girls swimming and diving team earned 163 points at the state meet, earning the team 4th place in the state. This makes another time the girls team earned a trophy in back-to-back state meets. They accomplished that same feat in 2005 and 2006. Our varsity volleyball team had an outstanding season. They earned their way into the state semifinals. A big important note, this marks the farthest a Milan varsity volleyball team has ever competed into the state tournament. So they set a new district record for how far we competed into the state tournament. On the 16th of November, our team played very well and lost a hard-fought match against West Catholic High School. Milan Area Schools is proud and honored to share that Coach Dan Heike was named the Michigan Swim Coaches Association Coach of the Year. Coach Heike has been honored as a Regional Coach of the Year and Monroe News Coach of the Year in the past. However, this year's recommendation, which is so well deserved, demonstrates an even higher level of honor and respect for Coach Heike's coaching abilities. Just a huge congratulations to Dan Heike. It takes a lot to be recognized as a state coach of the year, and just a phenomenal accomplishment. And Mr. Hull and I have talked. We will be having the volleyball team and the swim team along with the coach in January to recognize them for their accomplishments, and we will make sure to have something there especially for coach as well. Mrs. Bookout, the Simons Elementary School principal, for those that do not know, has been appointed as the Milan Middle School principal effective January 1st. Mrs. Bookout will remain the Simons principal through the end of 2023, as her new appointment doesn't start until after Christmas break. I want to thank Mrs. Jasper for her years of service and dedication, and she is doing a great job. Once a week right now, Miss Bookout is going over to the middle school and spending the entire day with Miss Jasper, and Mr. McMahon and I are filling in as the principal assignments for that day. And there's been some really valuable work done, not just on the transition, but also on all of the planning for the transition for next year for grade movement. The posting for the next principal of the Simons Elementary School was posted on November 28th. It was put on our website, the MASA website, MASSP, MEMSPA, and MASB. In addition, the position was posted on Indeed and the National Alliance for Black School Educators Career Center. The posting closes on December 12th, and we encourage any folks who are qualified to apply. I want to thank the Board of Education for approving Cynthia tonight as our next payroll and benefits manager. And a huge thank you for those that don't know Carolyn White, our current accounts payable receivable manager, who received training after we found out that Rebecca would be leaving, took over and covered our last payroll on November 30th and did a phenomenal job. With the support of Krista Hendricks, the two of them did a great job, got everything out, got all the taxes paid on time, got all the ORS money to ORS, just covered all of those things that are encompassed in a payroll of about 350 employees. So if you happen to see Carolyn, please give her a huge thank you. We are making sure that we take good care of her for stepping up for these couple of payrolls. She will be doing one more payroll kind of on her own, and then the next one, Cynthia will kind of come in part way and they'll kind of tackle that one together. After talking with Mr. Sislo, it's my understanding that the Big Red Chat on November 28th went well. Good questions were asked by the community and great comments were made. I just want to thank Mr. Sislo, Mrs. Gutierrez, and Mrs. Pryor, who got inaugurated very quickly into Big Red Chats, for attending and helping out with that session. As Mr. Sislo said, we do want to welcome Cassie Pryor to the Board of Education. We did about a 2-hour orientation on Wednesday, November 29th. Mrs. Pryor had a lot of great questions at that event, and just really excited to welcome her to the Board of Education. The internal review for Milan Middle School was held on November 15th. That was the last of our 4 internal reviews, and the board will receive information about those in my self-evaluation packet. The reviews are so valuable, not only for the school that's receiving feedback, but for also all of the other schools that the teachers from the other schools that go and participate, because they see all the great things going on in the other buildings. Last, I just want to thank our parents for understanding. We apologize for the inconvenience that our recent Power School outage caused. We know that a lot of parents do track their students on Power School. The outage was out of the control of Milan area schools. In the end, we learned that our host experienced a situation where our database corrupted itself. There was no outside bad actors. There was no infiltration of any data. Just a technology glitch that the database corrupted itself. The problem was the database didn't crash until about 2 weeks after it started to corrupt itself. So the ISD who hosts our server backs it up twice a day. So we do have backups. This is a very unusual situation where we had to go back almost 2 weeks because all of the backups back to that point had some level of corruption in them. If we had reinstituted that, it would have just corrupted itself again. So we apologize for the inconvenience. Please understand that we were able to recover all of the student grade data. You guys aren't going to get away with anything. We were able to recover all of the student grade data out of the current database. The problem is that has to be entered again by our teachers by hand. They are working on that very diligently, and we are giving them 3 hours of time on our PD day to work on that as well. And the expectation is by the end of the day this Friday that all of those past grades will be entered. Students can now see their current grades as they get entered. They have access. For the middle school and Paddock, the middle school has a very similar situation to the high school, except that it also affects their report cards. So their report cards got postponed a little bit. For Paddock and Simons, they don't use Power School for daily grades, but they do enter their report cards into Power School. And so those had to be delayed as well, and those should be coming out the week of December 11th. So again, we just thank our community for understanding. We thank our teachers for all of the re-entry work that they will be doing for us. We greatly appreciate their dedication to that. In the end, our goal is to make sure that every student gets credit for all the assignments they completed, and that our report cards at the elementary level are accurate and reflect the performance of every student. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gearbaugh. On to board member comments.
Mr. Sislo.
Yes, Mr. Farrell.
So a few things. With respect to finance, I just want to indicate that we do still need to update the transparency reporting page of our website to include personnel expenditures, current operating expenditures. I believe the 2023 audited statements have been posted. But we need to also include the accounts payable payment register, employee compensation exceeding $100,000, district association paid dues, district credit card information, and also district out-of-state travel. Also on finance, I just wanted the board to be aware that the athletic sound system has been removed as assigned funds in our financial statements, as the system has been purchased and installed, and thus it has been expensed accordingly. I also want to remind the board on my interest in supporting a district DEI committee. I want to make sure that we extend needed resources for this committee as part of our next budget adjustment in January. And then finally, I'm not sure when we address the Milan area school officer and committee assignments. I assume that's in January.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's all for me. Thank you.
Yep. Others?
Mr. Sislo?
Yes, Ms. Murray.
Okay. Hi, good evening, everyone. A couple things also. I'll do my best to be as brief as I can. First, I'd like to welcome Ms. Pryor to the Board of Education. I'm very excited. I can't see you, but I'm very excited to work with you, and I know that you'll bring just such valuable perspective and insight to this board table. So I'm glad you're here, and welcome. Second, I'd like to quickly congratulate all of our Milan Middle School Spelling Bee competitors who bravely competed in the SEMLA Spelling Bee, which was hosted right here in Milan. And thanks to the middle school for having me as a volunteer reader for the 6th grade competition. I appreciated that opportunity to be of service. And I can say with confidence that competing in a spelling bee is no joke. Those 6th grade words were some new to me even, which was wild, but they managed it. So I was very impressed with our Milan students, obviously, as well as all of the middle schooler competitors from across our area. I'd like to thank Miss Jasper and all of our parent volunteers and Miss J. Murray, our spelling bee coordinator, and the custodial team, especially at MMS, because they're kind of in a transition period right now with their custodial situation. And so a new person was doing that setup. And if you don't know, it's a massive setup. There are 3 very big rooms with dozens and dozens of chairs for spectators, and it's just a ton of moving parts. So just want to really thank the whole team at the middle school for making that event possible. It went off incredibly smoothly, and it was due entirely to their detailed preparation. So congratulations to all for that. I'll quickly echo Mr. Gearbaugh's congratulations to the cast and crew and the production team of Alice. It was just yet another triumph of epic proportions from the Milan High School productions team. They are just fabulous. And for those who may not know, that show went up in a time of pretty significant transition in the MHS theater, but you would never have known it from sitting in the audience. And so I just want to thank our new directors for, stepping up for our students as wonderfully and supportively as they did, to Daniel Douglas for all of your hard work helping our students and just keeping our MHS productions group alive and well. Last, I want to thank the folks at the Croswell Opera House in Adrian. They welcomed our Milan Middle School drama students to their production of Little Mermaid last weekend. And they were just incredibly gracious hosts. Our students got to go on stage and have a behind the scenes experience after the show and kind of see how all the things were built and created. They answered all their questions. So our MMS drama will be putting on their own production of Little Mermaid later this spring. So it was very valuable for our students to see that professional version and to speak with the actors and the production team about the show. So if you have the opportunity to get out to Adrian and visit the Croswell, I learned that it's actually the oldest theater in the state of Michigan. It was founded in 1866. I did not know that. And it's one of the oldest continuously operating theaters in the country. So it's totally worth the short drive out there. if you can, to experience some of their excellent programming and support local professional theater. So with that, I pass. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Miss Murray. Break a leg. Yeah,
Mr. Sis.
Ms. Gutierrez.
I too would like to welcome Cassie Pryor to the board. I had the great fortune of being able to be at the Big Red Board chat with her and Mr. Sislo the other week, and I'm delighted to have you here and welcome, and I look forward to working with you. Also, I feel like there's a bit of an echo, but I too have to really commend the high school drama department on their Alice in Wonderland performance. The costumes were great, the acting was great, the memorization of the lines was fantastic. I haven't read that book in about 30 years, and it just all came back to life on stage for me. So that was fantastic. I'd like to thank our community members who came out for the Big Red Board chat. We had a small but very valuable and mighty group. We had 3 community members. We talked a little bit about the Reimagining Milan program and had some good Q&A about that. Thank you to those individuals, 2 of whom are here tonight, for bringing some questions to the table that we will share back with the board and with Mr. Gearbaugh. But even beyond that, we had a really great conversation, I think, on multiple fronts, and I appreciate that conversation. I know all of us were taking notes and thinking about how we might want to address some of these. Thank you, Mrs. Bennick, for bringing some of those up here again tonight. And so I want to assure you that we appreciated that conversation, that it was heard, and that we take those comments and suggestions to heart. I want to thank Mrs. Jules Murray for the spelling bee work that she did. My son competed, and I will say the 7th grade words were also extremely hard. I would have got out on at least a couple of those for sure. There was one that I was going to contest, and then I realized I was wrong. So I really admire the bravery of our Milan Middle School students in participating. I thank Mrs. Murray for her leadership in bringing that to our community every year. Actually, Milan Middle School was the host of that, as Sarah said, so it was a great opportunity for us to showcase our resources as well. While I'm on the topic of Mrs. Murray, I'd also like to thank her for taking on not only the play for the Milan Middle School, but also for having this wonderful outing to the Croswell that Sarah mentioned. It was really enjoyed by all of the students, and I know it meant a lot to see professional theater happening, particularly with something that is what our students will be doing. And then I'd like to offer my congratulations to Mr. Haika and on his accolades. I wasn't aware of that, but I really admire all of the work that the Milan Swim program has done. My daughter started swimming this year for the first time, and she's officially hooked. And I know that the wonderful work within Dan's program extends to all of the staff there. And so I'm just very proud of the Milan Swim program. I'd like to offer my congratulations to Mrs. Bookout to be our new Milan Middle School principal. I will say that I think there was, a bit of trepidation on the fact of students and families with the transition, and Mrs. Bookout is clearly highly respected, highly beloved, and has this really incredible rapport with these students already. And so I can't think of a better person to be in that position, and I'm extremely grateful that she's taking that on, and I think it will be a wonderful addition to the middle school. I'd finally like to thank all of our staff for working very hard to get their grades entered. I can commiserate. This is my end of the semester where I'm doing something quite similar, but I don't have to go back and re-enter grades. I didn't realize that that was something that they had to do. So thank you, Mr. Gearbaugh, for giving them some extra time to do that, but also thank you to our staff who are now doing some duplicative work so that our students can appropriately be reflected in terms of their progress. And then my last comment is I'd like to follow up on Mr. Farrow's suggestion to raise support for the DE&I committee. I think that's some really important work that this board has to do in the coming year. On a personal note, it was one of the things that I was passionate about in terms of coming to the board, and I know that we've heard a lot of feedback regarding a variety of DE&I issues in this community and from this community. And I think it's important that we continue that work and continue to invest in those issues within our district as we train our next generation of citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez. Others?
Mr. Sislo,
Yes, like-
I just have two quick things. I agree with Ms. Bennett that we do need at least a yearly presentation from Lon on our special ed program. We get, once again, post-COVID, we get presentations from our individual buildings. And I think it's important to hear from Lon, because this is an area of the district that we don't have a great line of sight into. And it would be nice to hear what's going on in the program, what the students need, what the staff needs, and just to hear from them like we hear from every other group in the district, for lack of a better word. I also want to echo Tom's and Ms. Gutierrez's comments about support for the DEI committee, and we'll support including financial support in next year's budget, that committee as well, to do the work that I know that they've been working on for many years now, but to help expand that district-wide.
Thank you. Ms. Pryor, have any comments?
I just want to say thank you, and I look forward to working with you all.
Great. Thank you. I have a few things, some housekeeping things. I do want to echo the things regarding the Big Red Board Chat. I appreciate the people that came out and attended, and Mrs. Bennett bringing those items forward again today. And we will commit to having the school presentations and the special education presentations in front of the board. So. Just a reminder that Brian did submit his self-evaluation to us. And if there's any clarifying questions that you have in regards to that self-evaluation, be sure to get them to myself and Mr. Gearbaugh by Friday, so that he can answer that prior to his evaluation at the meeting on the 13th. In regards to the question in committees that Mr. Farrell brought up, yes, at the January meeting, our organizational meeting, we will talk about, we'll definitely elect officers. So if you're interested in serving as an officer of the board, please let me know so that we can make appropriate nominations at that meeting. And then I will send out an email looking for your top 3 or 4 committees that you'd like to serve on in the coming year, so that we can move forward with the committees. In regard to committees, Ms. Pryor is going, right for now, until we reassign committees, she's going to serve on the Communications and Community Engagement Committee. As far as the Academics and Programs Committee, I'm going to move into chair of that committee. I'm going to be looking for another member of that committee because part of that committee's responsibility is scholarships. And Ms. Pryor is going to be excused from that because of her son being a senior. So I'm going to be looking for somebody to help in that on that committee in the coming year. And just it's a good reminder for the community and our students that those scholarships are open. There are a ton of scholarships that are offered through the school and through the Greater Milan Monroe Community Foundation. So I encourage all students and their families to look at those and take advantage of those opportunities. There's a lot of great support from the community for our students in those scholarships. Also at that meeting, I'll be looking for a Washtenaw Area School Board representative, a WASB member, so that we can serve on that committee. And I will also be looking for a Legislative Relations Network representative from our board to serve at the WISD level as well. So those are all things that we'll be considering at that organizational meeting in January. And then finally, again, in regards to the DEI, there's a lot of great learning at the MASB conference. I believe one of the ways forward for us is once we complete Superintendent Gearbaugh's evaluation, we have not done a school board self-evaluation in quite a while. And the fact that we have several new members, I think it will be a valuable experience for us to go through that process. to go through a self-evaluation uh, uh, for the board in regards to our performance. And then that's where we can talk about those, the things that we want to move forward for the district and as the board. So um, look for that as we move forward into the new year. It's something that's done through MASB. Mr. Scott Morrell has helped us with that in the past. And again, I think with just the new board members that we have on board, it's a valuable lesson to move forward with, and we can start to move some of these initiatives forward that have been brought forward. So, um, I think those are all the things that I wanted to talk about. Yep. Any other board member comments?
Mr. Sislaw.
Yes.
I finished the list of the winter sports
Okay.
for the next meeting. Girls basketball has a game against Dundee Community High School, JV at 5:30 and varsity at 7 today. So let's see how that goes. Or it was yesterday. My bad. Sorry. Monday, December 11th versus Lincoln High School at Lincoln, JV at 5:30, varsity at 7. Boys and girls bowling, they had their first meet yesterday. How did that go? There's no information put on there.
They won 17 out of 30 points, and the boys team won 29 out of 30 points, also securing them. We won third place for the tournament that was on Saturday. We won our match yesterday, so currently the boys and girls teams are 1-0.
There we go. Saturday, December 9th is the Huron Holiday Baker Tournament at the Town and Country Lanes at 8 a.m. Monday, December 11th against SMCC at the Indian Lanes Bowling Alley in Wyandotte at 3:15 p.m. Hockey, there is no information under that tab, so I can't provide any for you. Boys swimming had a meet today versus Adrian and Erie Mason at Adrian High School at 6 p.m. I hope they do very well. Friday, December 8th is the SMISL relays diving at home, which the time is to be determined still. Saturday, December 9th is the SMISL relays swimming, which is also at home, which that time is still to be determined. Tuesday, December 12th against Chelsea and Dexter at the Chelsea Beach Middle School at 6 p.m. Wrestling has their first meet of the season tomorrow at Pinckney for the Pinckney Duels, which is Pinckney, Dexter, and Marshall, at 5:30. Saturday, December 9th is the Dansville Greg Mack tournament at Dansville High School, which that tournament I have helped manage is quite exhausting, at 9 a.m. And on behalf of both the student board representatives, good luck to all of the winter sports as they kick off their seasons. We cannot wait to see what your season brings you. Also, a reminder to all the seniors to order your cap and gown before, I mean, you obviously have a few months, but order it before you forget until last second. So that's all.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Powell. On to new business. I need a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Section 81B of the Michigan Open Meetings Act and upon request of the students, parents, guardians for the purpose of conducting a hearing to consider the discipline of a student whose identity is known to the board as student 2023-2024-4.
Moved by Heike.
Support by Farrell.
It's been moved and supported. Is there any discussion? Just a reminder, there will be no other business after we come back into open session except to vote on the student discipline. After we vote on the student discipline, we will be adjourned. Any other discussion? All right, it's been moved and supported to enter into closed session pursuant to Section 81B of the Michigan Open Meetings Act and upon request of the students, parents, guardians for the purpose of conducting a hearing to consider the discipline of a student whose identity is known to the board as student 2023-2024-4. Ms. Heike.
Gutierrez,
Yes.
Heike, yes. Murray,
Yes.
Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Farrow.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, we're going into closed session at 7:54. We come back into open session at 10:32. I'm going to offer the following resolution. Whereas the administration has recommended that pursuant to section 13112 of the revised school code, a student whose identity is known to the board as student 2023-2024-4, the student, be expelled for possessing a dangerous weapon in a weapon-free zone. 2, the school administrators notified the student's parents, guardians of the specific charge underlying the discipline recommendation, as well as the date, time, and place of the disciplinary hearing. 3, pursuant to the request of the student's parents, guardians, and is authorized by the Michigan Open Meetings Act, Section 81B, MCL 15.2681B, the disciplinary hearing was conducted in a closed session meeting of the board. 4, the hearing afforded the student and the student's representatives an opportunity to respond to the charge and to present pertinent evidence for the board's consideration. 5, the board has carefully considered all the evidence produced in the student discipline hearing. Now therefore be it resolved that a preponderance of the evidence establishes that on October 31st, 2023, the student possessed a dangerous weapon in a weapon-free school zone. 2, clear and convincing evidence does not establish that the student did not possess the object or instrument for the use as a weapon or for direct or indirect delivery to another person for use as a weapon, did not knowingly possess the weapon, did not know or have reason to know that the object or instrument constituted a dangerous weapon, possessed the weapon at the suggestion or request of, or direction of, or with the express consent of a school employee. 3, based on careful consideration of all the following factors, the board determines that expulsion is warranted. The student's age, the student's disciplinary hearing, whether the student has a disability, the seriousness of the behavior, whether the behavior posed a safety risk, whether restorative practices are a better option, and whether lesser interventions would address the behavior. 4, the student is expelled from the district permanently, subject to possible reinstatement under section 13116 of the revised school code. Before reinstatement, the student must demonstrate successful participation in an appropriate counseling program approved by the superintendent, establish that the student has not engaged in conduct during the period of expulsion that may be viewed by the board as detrimental to the student's continued education at the district, demonstrate to the satisfaction of the board that the student received educational instruction and cooperatively participated in an educational program during the period of expulsion, which may include an online or virtual education program offered by the district, and agree to follow a reentry safety plan as determined by the superintendent and building principal that includes, at a minimum, permission to search the student's possessions or person at any time, mandatory check-ins with a trusted adult. The student's parents must also agree to the terms of the reentry safety plan. Failure to satisfy these conditions will result in continuation of the student's expulsion. 5, administrators are directed to refer the student to the County Department of Social Services or the County Community Health Agency and to notify the student's parent guardian of the referral within 3 calendar days of this resolution. 6, during the time of expulsion, the student may not be on school grounds or attend any functions at the district without prior written approval from an appropriate administrator. 7, in addition to the expulsion, the student must complete a restorative practice exercise as determined by the building principal upon reinstatement. The student's failure to complete the restorative practice exercise may result in further disciplinary consequences. Consistent with the revised school code sections 11A and 13111, the board finds that the interests of the district are served by this resolution. 9, administrators are directed and authorized to implement all terms of this resolution and are delegated all necessary authority to do so. 10, all resolution and parts of resolutions insofar as they conflict with provisions of this resolution be and the same are hereby rescinded. I'd like to so I need a motion to support, I need a motion to support expulsion of student 2023-2024 in accordance with the attached resolution that I just read.
Moved by Heike.
Support by Pryor.
All right, it's been moved and supported to expel student 2023-2024-4 in accordance with the attached resolution as just read by myself. Any discussion? Hearing none, it's been moved and supported to expel student 2023-2024-4 in accordance with the attached resolution as read by myself. Ms. Heike?
Heike, yes. Murray,
No.
Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Pharaoh,
Yes.
Gutierrez.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-1.
Meeting is adjourned at 10:37.